let's face it, it's a thing that we as males do not want to do when we get up in the morning. I mean, think about it. You have a hairy beard, and a hairy mustache, and then all of a sudden you tell you to go shave. But the thing is that you don't know how to use razors. You just go like this. You cut in too deep. Your face is bleeding. You don't know how much shaving cream to use. Tonight's health break is all about shaving and how to deal with basically the cuts on your faces when you shave. Now, here are some pictures that may here are razor cuts. I mean, you look up razor cuts in the neck. When you Google razor cuts, you click on images, it's what can happen to you. I mean, take a look at this. This is what can happen to you if you shave too deep. And in this picture, he's using toilet paper. And a lot of companies are using a lot of razors to help shave. And I'm probably no exception because I sometimes shave, and if you probably see me, I probably won't even have. If you look up real close, you'll see that I have several minor razor cuts. I mean, before I got started, I had like a huge cut, like right here. You probably won't even see it. It's because I probably cut in too deep. But we're not talking about how you can shave. We're talking about how you deal with the razor cuts. Because if you just finish shaving, you want to go right for the banding. But how can you treat cuts? You got to clean the area. Mouth, soap, and water to remove any blood or prevent infection. Use a styptic pencil, aluminum block, or ice cube to stop the bleeding. You can apply an ointment and cover the room with a bandage to keep it clean and protected. Avoid picking. I mean, don't be picking at the scab, because you pick at the scab, it's going to start bleeding and increase scarring. Other tips may include lip balm, aftershave balms, using witch hazel, and using aloe vera, the gel. It's what you can do. I mean, because that's what it does to you. So you go to any doctor, doctors would tell you to do. I mean, you may sit there and say, "I don't know how to shave." I mean, we've dealt with school. I mean, it's all in the dress codes. I mean, let me tell you something. For 7 years, we have dealt with dress codes for males. Basically, it's mostly on women, but it's basically all for males. Mostly for males, because in that dress code handbook at some schools, it says all males must be clean shaven. I'm probably an exception. In fact, I'm going to tell you a story about this. Happened 10 years ago. This happened about 10 years ago, and I was a sophomore at the time. This all started when I was a sophomore. I was like, I was 16, a sophomore, and I'm not naming names. I come in like all stubby face, hair, whatever, and then a coach. Let's just call this coach. Let's call him Coach Rogers. Coach Rogers was the history teacher at the time, and he was like, "What's the policy what's the dress code policy on your face?" I was gonna say, I said all males must be clean shaven. So he sends me a pass to the nurse's office, and my coach, I've known this coach for 10 years. He didn't know about it, so he rushed over to the nurse's office. Because before all that, I did not know how to use razor. So nurse, I just watched it. I watched the video, and then I got too deep, cuts in the face, and then all of a sudden my coach comes, it's already too late. So what had happened was, went back to class, and then I think this was second period. So we go into 8th period, which was my biology class, and I go to the assistant principal's office, and what happened was, I'll never forget what my assistant principal said. He said, if everyone does this to you again, just come straight to me. I took it very seriously, and I was in the yard because not many people, I mean, this is what teachers send a child in the shade, and they come back with cuts, with all these cuts, all these razor cuts and all, bleeding face, and then what does the school do? I mean, you just, like, hold on a second, text your mom, hey, come pick me up, I cut my face. Send a picture of your face all cut, and it's like, what happened? Nurse sent me in the shave, I cut my face, this and this. And so, there is no program to learn how to cut, how to use a razor. But the moral of the story is, follow that school dress code, and if you don't know how to shave, just watch a few videos, and then you'll know. Speaking of which, this kid has a stubby face, and he was forced to shave. Was he going to shave or just take a punishment? That story's coming up when we return. And still ahead, programs that help you kids quit smoking, and a little bit later, E. coli found in meat. You thought it could be in vegetables, but it's first always in meat. Stay with us. As I've talked about, most school districts have dress codes, which state that all males must be clean shaven. I mean, it says right there in that handbook. And with me, I did not know how to use a razor, so that's why I use an electric razor. Now, electric razor is a great tool for you to use. That way you won't get all those cuts. So if you don't know how to use a regular razor for your Christmas gift, just ask for an electric razor. That way you can get used to it, and you'll get less cuts. It's very easy for you. It's very easy for you to use. Just simply look at the instructions, and you know how to use it. But schools probably won't allow you to bring an electric razor because that can be considered used as a weapon. But if you tell the school that it's going to be I'll be using for the nurse's office, the school has to get it pre-approved, and they say, okay, that's fine, then you can just leave the nurse's office. However, they say no, then don't bring it. Don't sneak it with you. It can get confiscated, and you might get in trouble. I'm going to introduce you now to one student who had peach fuzz all over him. Meaning, it wasn't fuzz, it was just all hair and all that stuff. Principal Jim Lamb decided to give him two choices. Either one, shave, or two, be an in-school suspension. What was his choice? Just take a look.
At West Point High School, we have a strict dress code policy, and it states that you cannot have facial hair of any kind. You know why he's down here, Richard?
Not really, sir.
Really?
No.
You don't have any idea why you're down here?
Unless I was late or something.
I'm late? You think you're down here because you were late?
That's the only thing I think of.
Well, what if it's not because you were late? Do you think of anything else?
You just want to talk to me?
I'll enjoy talking to you, Richard, but let's think about this just a minute. Won't you think with me? Wow. Oh, wow. What is all that, Richard?
I guess because I need to shave.
There you go, buddy.
I don't really understand why.
Well, because it clearly states in the handbook, bud, that can't have any facial hair.
Can I ask why?
Sure. It's a thing that our community feels like it's important for us, that, we like for our kids to look sharp.
Well, I figured that, everyone could be treated equal. All the teachers, like, especially the coaches, they got a lot more than I got, you can probably just barely see mine.
First and foremost, every teacher in this building has a diploma from an accredited university or college, okay? They paid their dues. The adults do have a dress code. They do have a dress code, but and they have to dress professionally every day, just like I do. Teachers with facial hair, they also wear a shirt and tie and dress pants every day and nice shoes. Do you want to do that?
No, I wouldn't want to actually dress like them, but I figured we could have similar privileges.
You can't have it both ways. Richard's fighting a pretty good fight on his reasoning, but he's not going to talk his way out of this one. He needs to shave. What you need to do is you need to get up and go out, give your dollar to Ms. Crawford and get a razor and get shaved up, okay?
What if I cut my face, you know? I mean...
What you need to understand is this, is, chicks dig scars, okay? And if you do cut your face, we will get you to the nurse just as soon as possible.
Do you mind if I just wait till I get home and I'll come back on Monday?
Yeah, I do mind. Here's your choices. You can either shave, or you can be in my on-campus suspension room until I get tired of you being in there. You want to shave or not, Richard?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. That's a good choice.
After meeting with Coach Lamb, I'm going to shave, but I still don't agree with it, and I don't like it. It sucks that I had to lose all that scruff in my face, because now, now the girls, they really like me, like they used to. But in a week, they like me again, so it's not really that bad.
First thing, look at his face. You see right here? If you didn't see his face, if you didn't see part of his face, I mean, if I zoomed in right here, special zooming, you see where our finger is, and his finger right here? That's probably from his razor cuts. That's because he probably doesn't know how to shave. However, if there was an after-school program for us males to attend, we would learn how to shave. The nurse's aide would be by the side, and then we would do a practice session, not with an actual razor, but with a thing that looked like a razor, but less sharp. That way, we would learn like, oh, okay. Or, here's some common sense. Here's the common sense. Here's the thing. We bring an electric razor, we leave it in the nurse's office, and then when it comes time for us to shave, we ask to go to the nurse, we clean there while we're there, we just ask you here to shave, and you just put it in the laptop, and then just leave it there until the end of the school year. That's it. That's it. Or just leaving your backpack when it comes time, just sneaking, or just go in the nurse's office. If you want to use their razor, just be careful. If you know how to shave, you need to find somebody that will teach you how to shave. Believe me. And if I had to go back to that story and say, hey, I don't know how to shave, but I need someone to teach me, and they say, no, we can't teach you. What there needs to be is two things, an after-school program, or we can bring our own electric razors and just leave it in the nurse's office. As long as we'll take it with us in the hallways. It's a big thing, though. You work at a fast food restaurant, you're going to have to shave. You work in a nice office, you are going to be required to shave. It's how it is. So, try to understand here. Try to understand common sense. I mean, we want to look good for our faces. I mean, it may be the old saying like, "Oh, chicks take scars," but those scars could because a lot of times no one knows how to clean their faces. I mean, look at my face right here. You may see I may not have a lot of cuts. That's because I used water to clean up my face and used a Band-Aid for a few minutes right before I got started because I didn't want you seeing my face all Band-Aidy and you typing in all the comments going all, you so bloody, you're bloody, man. I mean, there are ways to do this. Like I've talked about, if your face is all cut, try to get a Band-Aid to cover it up and try to wash it off with water. That way you won't get infected. The bottom line is this: you want to be clean shaven and fine, but if you don't know how to use a razor at school, talk to somebody and they will teach you. The goal is simple: to follow the dress code. If you don't know how to shave, just simply talk to someone and they will tell you. That's what happens here. When we return, E. coli. Last season we talked about it in our vegetables, but we went backwards because it's now in our meat. Arnold Diaz has some important safety tips for you the next time you look for E. coli in your meat. So stay with us. last season we talked about E. coli. It wasn't just in the vegetables in our apple juices. You may find that in your local meat, the hamburger. Like you order a hamburger and then it's still like raw. You eat it and you get all the squirts. Other people call it the cholo. The shits. It's just water and coal. Sammy, we don't want to come out. But there is something very important to know about E. coli. It's very dangerous, and it can lead to food poisoning in your system. How can you prevent it? Here's all Diaz.
From Arnold Diaz.
Ordering a cheddar burger, medium rare, and 2 rare burgers.
Each time you take a bite of a hamburger, are you playing Russian roulette?
How would you like it cooked?
Medium rare.
Well done.
Rare. If you're still eating your burgers rare or medium, or even medium well, what you don't know could kill you. This dire warning is coming now not from a consumer group, but from the federal government.
The message needs to be very strongly conveyed to consumers that the days when one could eat medium rare or rare hamburgers are over.
The Agriculture Department's Dr. Glenn Morris says contaminated ground beef is now a major problem. E. coli 0157H7, the deadly bacteria first discovered in hamburger in 1982, is spreading. The bacteria is found in the intestines and feces of some cattle. During slaughtering, it's sometimes accidentally transferred onto the meat. From there, it can end up being ground into the hamburger you or your children eat.
It tends to strike particularly children as well as the elderly. And it also can strike essentially without warning. You can have a child who eats an undercooked hamburger and who can be dead within a matter of days.
This is not just another food scare story. The government says we're in the midst of an E. coli epidemic, and the meat industry agrees it's a serious problem. There are things consumers can do to protect themselves, but critics say both the industry and government have done a poor job of getting us that information. In the meantime, E. coli is killing people, as many as 500 a year, according to official estimates.
Kind of blows you away. My son died because he ate a hamburger. It's just very hard to comprehend that simply a couple bites of a hamburger killed him.
It happened so quickly, Jan Sowerby still can't believe it. Scotty was a healthy, smiling 3-year-old. Then Jan says he ate a hamburger on a camping trip, and a week later was rushed to the hospital with bloody diarrhea. There are no antibiotics for E. coli. Kidney dialysis can help, but in Scotty's case it failed. And after a week of torturous pain, he died.
I was holding him, and he was laying on the cot, and he kept trying to say something to me, and I couldn't understand him. His teeth were just gritted so hard. He was in so much pain, he could not open his mouth to talk. He said to me, "Mommy, please hug me." And that was actually the last words that my son ever spoke to me.
Scotty's mother and grandmother have joined STOP, an organization of victims' families.
Thank you.
Jan is a pharmacist in Michigan and has made it her mission to warn others about this new strain of E. coli, which she calls a serial killer.
It's out there, and it is killing victims, and it's an evil, evil, evil thing. It tears these kids apart, and people need to know that, yes, it is happening. It's not just one incident. It's not just my son. It's not just the Jack in the Box.
You may remember the E. coli outbreak at Jack in the Box restaurants 3 years ago. 4 children died. What you probably don't know is that there have been dozens of outbreaks since then, and many others who've died apparently from eating contaminated ground beef. Victims like 6-year-old Alex Donnelly of Chicago, 13-year-old Eric Mueller, and 88-year-old Florence Metz of California, 69-year-old Virginia Watt, and 3-year-old Kevin Scott from Washington State.
Public health officials confirmed there is a second victim now of the potentially deadly H7 E. coli bacteria.
The problem has become so widespread that this year, all 50 states have reported cases of E. coli poisoning. In Georgia and Tennessee, 7 people got sick, including this young boy. Authorities say they all ate hamburgers at Central Park drive-through restaurants. In New York, meat bought at this supermarket chain tested positive for E. coli, officials say, and 11 people were infected. The store says it got the bad meat from a distributor. And in Massachusetts, contaminated ground beef at a county fair apparently led to this young girl and 10 others being stricken.
All the data we have coming in suggests that it is a major problem. It is a problem that clearly has increased significantly over the past decade, from 0 up to where we're talking 20,000 cases a year.
20,000 cases, 500 deaths, an epidemic?
An epidemic.
You would call it one.
I think it is, yes.
And in a frightening development, this same deadly strain of E. coli has turned up in salami, and scientists believe may have spread from cow manure to some fruits and vegetables, and even water. Still, ground beef is the single biggest source of this E. coli. Why hamburger and not other cuts of meat? Well, with steaks and roasts, any E. coli is on the surface and is easily killed during cooking. But when meat is ground up, the bacteria on the surface can get mixed into the middle of the hamburger, where it's much harder to cook out. E. coli is not in every hamburger, but it could be in any hamburger.
Probably 1 out of 1,000 hamburger samples contains this organism. You know, you stop and think how many hamburgers you eat, that starts adding up.
Americans eat more than 20 billion hamburgers a year, so millions of raw burgers may be contaminated. Yet many people don't know that. The meat industry says it's trying to get the word out.
The way that the meat industry has actually reacted, I think, has been pretty responsive.
American Meat Institute scientist Janet Collins-Williams points to these brochures they've sent to supermarkets and the safe handling labels now required on all meat packages.
I think that by having the government mandate a label that says this is the proper care for a product and having the industry support it with materials in the grocery stores and at food service, I think is about the best we can do.
But is this label good enough? It certainly doesn't grab your attention. The print is so small, many consumers have never read it. And the label doesn't say anything about E. coli in ground beef. Instead, it gives generic advice for handling all meat and poultry. It says keep it refrigerated and separate from other foods, and cook thoroughly. But how do you know when a hamburger is thoroughly cooked? The label doesn't say, and many people don't know.
How were you judging whether the burgers were done? I was going basically by the color of the outside of the burger in the medium.
Rob Gordiak and his sister Lisa Grosch thought the hamburgers were cooked well enough at a family barbecue in June. But a week later, Lisa's 3-year-old son Jason ended up in the hospital with bloody diarrhea. In this case, emergency kidney dialysis saved his life. But his family wishes they'd known how to make sure a hamburger is safe.
We're looking for 155 degrees to kill the E. coli bacteria.
Experts like Brian Halloran of Cornell University say if the middle of the hamburger reaches 155 degrees Fahrenheit, the E. coli will be destroyed. But most people don't carry around a meat thermometer, so you should look for 2 things. First, there should be no pink left inside the burger. Second, if the meat's juices are at all red like this, the burger is not done. Wait until the juices run clear. But none of this information is on the safe handling label.
Why not be more precise on the label and say cook until the juices run clear or there's no pink left or something like that?
That's clearly an option.
Until the juices run clear, I think it's wonderful.
But it's not on there. Do you think that should be on there?
I think it could be on there.
And the label doesn't say what even the meat industry admits. There's only one safe way to eat a hamburger.
Well done.
Well done. Not medium well.
Well done.
And it's not just the hamburger itself you have to watch out for. It's everything the meat touches.
So even the spatula could carry the E. coli after having touched the raw hamburger.
Yeah.
Food safety experts like Cornell's Bonnie Richmond say to avoid cross-contamination, wash your hands and any utensils, and never put other foods where raw hamburgers been. Just 4 months ago, 2-year-old Paige Hall from Ohio died, apparently after she ate a hot dog that had been contaminated by raw hamburger on the same plate. Last week, her father, who helped prepare that hot dog, was apparently so distraught he committed suicide. It's not uncommon for the families of victims to feel guilty, but Jan Sowerby says the government and beef industry should be doing more to keep E. coli out of meat.
I don't expect to be told, well, if you just cook your meat, that wouldn't have happened. To me, that's blaming me, and it's not my fault that my son died from eating a hamburger. That's just not my fault, and I won't accept that.
The USDA is trying to change the antiquated meat inspection system, and the industry says it's actively looking for solutions.
The industry is spending millions of dollars on protective technologies to try to get the carcasses cleaner and the meat better than it's been.
You think there will be a time when you can guarantee that the meat is free of E. coli?
No.
Can you tell the American consumer now that meat, ground beef that is approved by the USDA is free of E. coli?
No.
So the message to you, the consumer, is simple and urgent. Undercooked ground beef can kill.
Boy, Arnold, what about the fast food restaurants now? Are they selling fewer rare burgers and more well-done?
Absolutely. I don't think you can order a rare burger in a fast food restaurant. Everything is well done. They have temperature controls, and they're really on top of it now. The problem is at home, backyard barbecues.
And we still need to worry about that.
Yeah, we're in E. coli season now. Break open that burger, cut it in half before you eat it. If it's red, put it back on the grill.
Now, what's happened since you first reported on this?
Well, we're expecting any day now the USDA to announce a new inspection program for ground beef, including sampling for bacteria. They don't do that right now. And also, the processors are doing steam cleaning of the carcasses to try to kill the E. coli.
And that should help.
Yes, that is helping.
But cook them well.
Cook them well.
Thank you, Arnold. When we come back, a man we think that you'll be seeing a lot of in the future.
I should point out, speaking of that carcass thing, last season we showed you an investigation by Primetime Live into meat inspections. I think we showed you that, but if we haven't, we may show you that. I try to remember, but if we showed it to you, but if we didn't, we might show it to you again, because this is very important for you. For everyone. Not a lot of gore to be used, but sorry. It's not basically to scare you, it's just to basically help you out. Like last season, we showed you about E. coli in vegetables. And here's a common sense perspective. That everyone must know. A lot of people want to say, how am I supposed to know the burger's done? I mean, I go like, you can't do that, but how am I supposed to know? I mean, if you worked at McDonald's or any other restaurant for years, you say I still don't know. Where did you get your food permit from? A cereal box? Look at mine. I got mine online. You take a test. That test is going to prove to you, you take that test, it's going to prove to you got your food handler's permit. And it expires every 2 years. So, what you have to do is to understand and say to yourself, well, if I'm going to learn more about food safety, I need to find out more by taking a food safety test. That way I can know what I'm doing. It's exactly right. I mean, you may not be working at a fast food restaurant, but it's very important for you to be learning all about food safety. And that's number one. Second thing is to get a thermometer. A meat thermometer. Some of them are not digital, some of them are digital. But if you're afraid of poking that thing in, there is a great device that you can use. It's called an infrared thermometer. An infrared thermometer, it's knowing the amount of infrared energy emitted by the object of the object's temperature. and it can be used on humans. But can you use it on food? I mean, you can use it for cooking if you're afraid to use that little thing, the one with the poker holes. How do you use it for cooking? Point the inside gun at the liquid that is on the ladle or the surface of the stew, but stew a few seconds. The temperature reading shows up on the display. You can, and I believe that if you're afraid to use those thermometers with a pokey thing, that's a great tool to use. And going back to the infrared thermometer, I don't know why I searched this several times. Or you can look at an instant read thermometer. So going back, so you can actually buy the infrared thermometer online. You can actually find it on Amazon. You can find it on Amazon or eBay. You go to Amazon, you can find some cheap prices on Amazon. You can find one for $8. Just try to look for a good thermometer to use, infrared thermometer to use for gunning. For cooking and stuff. That way you can know the good temperature. Did you try to quit smoking? Can you find other programs to help you stop smoking? Coming up, John Stossel is going to explain those programs that help you stop smoking by running through a test. Stay with us. Do you still need a reason to smoke? What if you were to sit there and say, I'm done smoking? You try everything. You try nicotine gum. You tried vaping. But what if you would have realized that some programs may work and some programs don't? And if you haven't tried any programs, have you tried cold turkey? There are studies that have shown that people who do cold turkey quit smoking. Is there any way to get a list? Tonight, you're going to see firsthand at some programs that do help and even let them smoke one last cigarette. Here's John Stossel.
I'd like to stop smoking because I feel that my heart is just going to fly out of my chest.
Smoking makes you somewhat of an invalid, it really does.
I never was prepared to say really that I was an addict.
More people are confronting their addictions lately. I guess the fact that these things cause some nasty, vicious diseases is finally getting through. The government says this year some 17 million Americans will try to quit. Unfortunately, most will fail. It's a tough addiction to break.
The good news is that about half the people that have a lung removed quit smoking. The bad news is half of them go back to smoking.
Dr. Jack Henningfield, for the past 20 years, has studied what withdrawal from drugs does to things like brain function and reaction times.
When the person smokes, the nicotine is volatilized, just like the crack vapor of cocaine. So the cigarette is the crack form of nicotine. Tiny bursts go to the brain even quicker than an intravenous injection. When we talk to the hardcore drug addict that uses everything, cocaine, heroin, alcohol, and nicotine, and we say, what's toughest? Nicotine was as tough to give up, if not tougher, than heroin.
Still, people do quit, and lots of companies say for a price, they'll help you quit. Cigarettes can work for you. Correct. There are chemical cures, group therapy.
Another thing I used to say to myself is cigarettes are no friend of mine.
There's aversion therapy. This place gives you electric shocks while you smoke.
Picture the wave moving up and down.
There's hypnosis.
And I am going to stimulate
acupuncture, self-help books, and so on. And some make it sound so easy.
All you do is press the smoke button every time you light up.
Now, are all these methods as good as they claim to be? Well, we thought we'd follow some people while they tried the techniques. Peg Holcomb of Amherst, Massachusetts, has tried several times to quit on her own. It's never worked.
I literally went up the wall. And carrying on, I mean, like sort of manic depressive. You know, it was withdrawal. It was terrible.
Tomorrow, she'll try to quit again. Her family wishes her well.
Here's to you, Peg.
Peg's about to try acupuncture. So the next morning, acupuncturist Jonathan Clate sticks needles into different parts of her body. The acupuncture points near the wrist are supposed to reduce her desire for tobacco, and the needles in the chest supposedly help her breathe better.
Your breathing and heart rate are slowing down very nicely.
Peg will get 4 sessions of this for $165.
The acupuncture treatment seems to actually diminish the physical craving for cigarettes. We don't know how it works, but of the 75% that whom we accept, we have a 90% success rate.
Wow, 90%? That's hard to believe, so we did our own informal survey.
Amy, this is Amelia calling from Jonathan Clate's office.
With the help of Dr. Clate's assistant, 2020 associate producer Chris Oden called some former patients.
Hi, Amy. How you doing? My name is Chris.
From the doctor's files, we randomly selected patients who'd received the acupuncture treatment at least 6 months before.
So it's been over a year.
Over a year, yeah, and I feel really terrific. I feel
While he's calling, let's check out some other programs. Joe Landa's a chef in New York City. After 10 years of 2 packs of True Blues a day, Joe says he wakes up coughing and wheezing, and he's determined to quit. This brochure caught his attention.
I was just waiting for a program like this to come along to make it easy. They say you quit smoking in one office visit, one day.
An easy, one-day cure. What could be better? It's possible, says this clinic, through drug therapy. A doctor injects you with drugs that are supposed to block the physical urge for the nicotine.
They give you an injection in the head, behind the back of the ear, and that is very painful. It actually felt like someone was putting a cigarette out behind my ear.
This program really works. It's very effective. Over 90% of the patients that come to us stop smoking.
90% again. I asked the clinic's medical director about it. What are the drugs and how do they work?
Atropine, scopolamine, thorazine, and vitamin B. They work by providing an antagonist to the nicotine craving.
And that gives you an 80-90% success rate?
For 2 months. It's an 80-90% success rate for 2 months. It's a 40.
What is it for? Oh,
40% for 12 months.
Aren't you conning people, desperate people, a little bit here? An 80% success rate, pay $500? You don't know that your patients are doing that well.
Just in the time that I've been here, I've been very, very impressed with the length of stay, that they have been off cigarettes.
Can we go through your records and do our own survey and see if it's true?
Be my guest.
Okay, let's go do that. We'll give you the results of that survey in a moment, but first, one more approach.
You need to reduce those subconscious cues out there that have you automatically lighting up cigarettes.
This program claims a more modest 40% success rate. It's called Smoke Stoppers, and it's a for-profit company that markets its services through hundreds of hospitals.
Your daily routine. Okay, relax as much as you possibly can in these chairs.
You pay around $200 to go to 7 meetings at your local hospital where you hear advice like this.
No coffee or caffeine-related products. Avoid that for the next 4 days.
John and Kathy Derler hope this approach will help them. Kathy's been smoking for 20 years. She lights up instinctively while working the phones at her real estate office.
I smoke when I'm at work and I'm on the telephone. Constantly, and probably every 4 or 5 minutes.
Her husband's been smoking even longer.
35 years ago, it was a thing to do. It's not a thing to do anymore. My mind is made up. I'm kicking this habit.
To help them kick it, Smoke Stoppers will torture them a bit. The instructors seal the room, cover their hair, and play a tape of annoying white noise. Well, they tell the smokers, smoke 4 cigarettes in a row and smoke them backwards in the wrong hand and fast.
One right on top of the other. Fast, fast, fast. Puff, puff, puff. I want to see this room so full of smoke I won't be able to fight behind you.
They call this negative smoking. It's designed to literally make you sick of smoking. To help make you sick, they show slides of smoking-caused cancers. The room gets so gross that the instructors and I wear gas masks or breathe through towels.
It's really not nice at all.
35 years of smoking, this'll do it?
It's gonna do it. This is absolutely disgusting. It stinks. It's gross. My fingers are probably yellow. I feel like I'm ready to choke.
Two pinky pops.
After tonight, never
Like
again.
this in the opposite
No,
hand.
I really convinced myself. Thank you.
As they leave, wheezing and coughing, they check their cigarettes and lighters at the door. Now, given that these were just a few of the thousands of techniques available, how do you pick one that's right for you? Well, Dr. Ron Davis could give you some advice. He puts out the annual Surgeon General's report on smoking. In here are summaries of studies that say which techniques get better results. Of course, what's best for you depends what kind of smoker you are. For many of you, the addiction is largely psychological.
The need to have something in their hands, the need to have something in their mouth, the delight in lighting up.
You've been programmed by years of habit to light up in certain situations, like a cocktail party, as shown in this film.
A cigarette? Yes. No, thanks. No, sorry, I quit. I did, really.
When you try to quit, it can seem as if everyone but you is smoking and enjoying it. On the other hand, some of you have more of a physical addiction. Your body just craves the nicotine. You probably smoke first thing in the morning, or even when you're sick, or where smoking's forbidden. If this description fits you, then perhaps a withdrawal aid, something like a prescription for nicotine gum, may be helpful. Or what about that drug therapy we just talked about? That reminds me, how's Joe doing? It's now 7 months later. They told him the drugs would help him stay off cigarettes. Did they?
No. They claimed that it would remove all cravings for the cigarette, and I found that to be not true.
Though the drugs did make him not want to smoke for a while.
It was like drinking too much. The same type of feeling where you just have to lay down and you don't want to do anything else. And basically I was unconscious, and that's when I wasn't smoking.
Still, this company called Smoke Stop has 6 offices in different cities, and this research paper documenting the 80 to 90% success rate. Unfortunately, the study was done not by an independent scientist, but by a founder of the clinic, Nick Bashinsky. You see him here under arrest. He's now serving a 10-year jail term for racketeering. Of course, customers are not told about the racketeering. They're told about the research paper. The original paper meaning this research report.
Right.
The guy who did this is in jail for fraud.
No, income tax evasion. Not medical fraud.
Fraud connected to his stop smoking clinic.
Well, just as money dealings.
This is not a good study.
Well, we can make another study.
Our informal survey of their customers found that after 6 months to a year, only 30% had quit smoking, nowhere near the 90% they claimed. This doesn't surprise the government's experts. They say there is no proof that that kind of drug therapy works. And what about the acupuncture? Well, I wish I could give you the results of our survey of those patients, but the doctor stopped us before we could finish the survey. He said it was taking too much time. Before he stopped us, we did find some happy customers.
I loved it. It was wonderful.
Still, it was nowhere near the 90% Dr. Clayton claimed. He did clarify that to say the 90% refers only to a 1-month follow-up. Anyway, how did Peg do?
Yeah, well, it didn't work. After 3 weeks, I began to make pact with the devil and just have one a day, or just have a puff. And of course, that doesn't work.
6 months later, she's up to 8 cigarettes a day. The Surgeon General's report says there's little evidence that acupuncture works. In fact, they found it can have about the same success rate when they insert the needles in the wrong place.
There's what we call a placebo effect. You have a highly motivated smoker who wants to quit, they go out and find a treatment, and that treatment or any other treatment, including a sugar pill, will help them quit.
Still, he says some programs are better than others. And best of all are the programs that use multiple techniques. programs like smoke stoppers.
Number C, clean and remove all ashtrays from home, place of business, all your...
We called 50 of their customers, and after 6 months to a year, almost half, 46%, were cigarette-free. And congratulations are due the Durlers. They made it. After 7 months, they haven't had a puff.
We don't smell like smoke. My house doesn't smell like smoke. I feel that my kids are healthier, and I'm very proud of ourselves. We did it.
I'm a non-smoker, and I don't think I'll ever pick up a cigarette again.
Good for them.
Right. And you quit, I understand.
A long time ago. The last cigarette I smoked was 1958.
And you just went cold turkey, no help?
That's the only way I could do it was cold turkey.
A recent study shows that most people who quit cold turkey, no help.
But then, now,
Congratulations.
well, thank you. If all these programs exist for quitting, and most people quit cold turkey, why do we need the programs?
Well, they're for the people who aren't as tough as you are. And most people who succeed quit after the second or third try. And often the programs give the person that extra boost.
I noticed, John, there's a big difference between the success rate of these various programs. Is there any way to get a list of which ones work well and which don't?
There ought to be a way, I think, and it's so frustrating. The government has the data. They got that when they made up the Surgeon General's report. So I asked him, why don't you release a list? This is the best. This is no good. They said, we don't want to stick our necks out. But you can know that the multiple approaches work best.
Great. Thank you, John.
Very interesting. So how can you tell whether a program you know it's not? Try researching programs in your state about programs that help stop smoking. That way you can know. Just look up your city, and then you'll know exactly. We're going to talk more about smoking when we come back from an episode of from a clip from the episode of King of the Hill. Stay with us. We'll be right back. On one side, people tell you it's easy to quit smoking, while on the other side, people say it's tough to quit smoking. I'm going to show you a portion. I'm going to show you 2 clips from King of the Hill for educational purposes. That way, you can know how tough or hard it is to quit or not quit smoking. Here's the first clip. Here's one of the clips.
Well, do you want to lose a lung? Because if you do, Well, do you want to lose a lung? Because if you do, I am sure there's another little boy out there who would take it in a second.
Didn't you read this? Cancer, heart disease, emphysema.
Well, I thought those were the ingredients. Hey, do not be a smart mouth, young man. Now, I gave up smoking so you could be free of birth defects, and this is how you repay me?
Yeah, you don't know how hard it is to quit. Your mother and I went through hell trying to... Hey, don't recline-o-mite while I'm talking to you.
Bobby, smoking is a nasty, filthy, filthy habit, and only trailer trash smoke nowadays. Now, do you want to look like trailer trash? That's not fair. I don't smoke. Lord, honey, you finish this. Oh, honey, you are not trash. Just because you grew up in a trailer and your mama's in prison.
All right, Joe Camel, you want to smoke? Let's go smoke. Now, look here. You are going to smoke this entire carton.
And you want to play the whole thing. I just want to let you know because that's a horrible type of punishment. I mean, a child smokes a cigarette, you think, I'm going to punish him by making him smoke a bunch of cigarettes. But cigarette ads are the ones that... But there are all these cigarette ads. And if you remember from last season, we showed you a primetime live episode of Smoke and Mirrors. It was a 2-parter to where all these cigarette companies are posting cigarette billboard ads. So, there is one from Get Real. Superman. Superman, one of their heroes, had created some commercials all about these. So I'm going to show you all 3 commercials.
Come on, kids. If you want to grow up fast, take one of these. One puff and they'll soon be in my grasp.
fast nicotine. If you want to go up fast, take one of these. With my X-ray vision, I can see the harm cigarettes do inside people's bodies. That's why I never say yes to a cigarette.
Just try one. If you don't like it, it's easy to give up.
Uh-oh, nicotine. I better move fast. Up and away!
Go on, kid, go on.
Superman, is it hard to give up smoking or is it easy like nicotine says?
You no-good windbag, nicotine.
No, Superman. Leave me one. Please, I need one.
That's how hard it is. And that's why I never say yes to a cigarette.
Great story. An old wizard teaching kids tricks with cigarettes.
Cigarettes. I don't like the sound of that. Up and away!
Watch me, kids. One puff and they'll soon be in my grasp.
If it's a puff you want. Spoiled again. But one thing you can't disguise, kids, the harm cigarettes do to you. That's why I never say yes to a cigarette.
There's all these public service announcements that tell you all about cigarettes and why they're bad. I mean, try looking up a commercial from iSpot TV. I mean, if you look up all these from www.ispot.tv, these I mean, there was one that really got my eye here. It was this one. Let's play this one, then we're going to take a break.
Amanda Green. At the point of my life when I'm not a kid anymore. I, Amanda Green, at the point of my life when I'm not a kid anymore. Now that I finally have freedom to define who I am, I hereby agree to be bound to you, to let you decide how I spend my money, to let you set my boundaries, and to come running the instant you snap your fingers. With this contract, I relinquish part of my freedom to you.
There's a contract in every cigarette. When you light up, you sign up. Don't let tobacco control you.
That's the real cost. You take these, if you watch all these ads take them very seriously, you too can stop smoking. You can encourage others to stop smoking as well. In future episodes, we're going to do some more reports on cigarettes and nicotine from a bunch of news magazine articles. A couple from Day One, and there's one from 60 Minutes, which I don't know, they might cover. We're not going to do that, but if it happens, we'll let you know. Stay with us. We're going to have a 5-0 break in just a minute. Listen, there are things that kids do, but they immediately regret it. What if you were to realize, as a parent, that you heard your child swearing, saying ass, shit, and you get out your camera, and then you post it all over the internet, especially TikTok and Facebook, like all these videos. If you were to look up all these videos about kids swearing, you wouldn't know exactly where they got it from. The little potty mouths. That's the parents. In tonight's viral break, a compilation of all these kids that are swearing. They film it, and then they post it on TikTok. These are just like funny kids. Even the FCC wouldn't even just look at this.
Nice. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Don't say that. Okay.
Don't say that.
Okay, now.
Okay, bud, can you say purple?
Apple.
Say apple?
Apple.
Say yellow?
Yellow.
Say motherfucking asshole.
Motherfucking asshole.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Mommy was naughty. You're too
Say what? Orange? Blue? Pink? What? Are we supposed to say that? Then why'd you say it? Do you think Jesus would like that? Do you want Jesus to know you did that? Okay, then don't do it. Yellow. Purple. Yellow. Oh. Not funny. I'm gonna kick your ass.
I know you put him up to it.
Yeah, you did.
My dad comes up. Mickey, stop. That's bad. Go on your...
Faces what? Okay, don't say that though. That's a bad word. Thank you, but don't say that. They shouldn't say it either. It's a bad word, okay?
I say that to you.
Mommy says it to me? Really? Okay.
It's... Don't you dare! Where do all these kids learn from? They may learn it from this kid. Just watch.
Good afternoon, parents. Good afternoon, boys and girls. Shut the fuck up. Hey.
Not nice.
No, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You need to leave?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, he's out.
They might learn from somewhere, even from that kid. So, the bottom line here is, don't be teaching your kids to swear. Don't post it on no social media. We don't want to hear your kids swear. I mean, this is America, alright, but your child swears, don't record it. Punish him, and even then you'll know that swearing is wrong and it's very bad for you. That's all for this Game Break Monday. We'll see you again for Game Break Wednesday. For all of us here at YouTube, good night.